Welcome to Plan9Crunch. I'm Doug Gibson, and we're at Hollywood Forever Cemetary in Southern California, and we're at the grave of cult icon Maila Nurmi, otherwise known as Vampira. Could you get a close-up of a shot really quick here of her grave? Vampira, we best know, of course, for being in Plan 9 from Outer Space, Ed Wood's opus he made back in the 50s. But she was born in Massachusetts. She came to Los Angeles around early World War II to try to make her fortune. And she worked with success as a showgirl and also a model. In the 40s, she had an affair with Orson Welles. And there's this famous line Vampira gave when they were being intimate, and Orson Welles said, "Magnificent carcass." Sounds like something Orson Welles would say, right? Anyways, Vampira actually has a son. I'm not going to give his name right now, but he's a retired lawyer. He lives on the East Coast. He's still alive. And they did a DNA test to show that he's Vampira's son. They have never done a test to show whether Orson Welles is his father, which would be very interesting to find out, because in the book Glamour Ghoul, written by, I believe, the niece of Vampira, Sandra Naimi, excellent book. We have a review of it at Plan9Crunch. There is the assertion that that is probably the son of Orson Welles and Vampira. But once again, that's pure speculation. So Vampira was married to a screenwriter in the early 50s named Dean Reisner. He's best known for writing Mesa of Lost Women. And she decided to create a character, a goth character, based a bit on Charles Addams' Family. Vampira said there were several different concoctions to create the character, but it's an iconic character. It's far more iconic than Elvira, who came around later. She had a big successful show at KABC for a year as the first real horror host. She was in Newsweek, she was in Time, she was in Life, and she even won an Emmy, or at least was nominated. I have to check that, but she was up for an Emmy. And it didn't last very long, though. Vampira was fired, and then the show was on briefly again, and quite frankly, she entered an era of poverty. And at this time, Ed Wood was looking for actors in what would become Plan 9 from Outer Space, and he hired Vampira, and she wasn't thrilled about doing it, but she got paid $200, and then she said, "I don't want to do a speaking voice," so she does it mute. And she's very iconic in Plan 9 from Outer Space, wearing the Vampira regalia. So other movies Vampira was in after her Ed Wood gig were, well, one was called The Magic Sword, where ironically she played a hag, although she's a very beautiful woman. She was also in The Beat Generation. You can see her on the stage giving a poem. And she settled down into a lower middle class, maybe even poverty existence, where she had an antique shop for a while, and she also made jewelry. Well, the Ed Wood craze, Vampira enjoyed that. She's very good in The Haunted World of Ed Wood, the feature film. She's also in the Ed Wood Story and other interviews she did. I really like her personality. She shows like someone who was really tough, really a survivor, but she also shows pathos when she's talking about Ed Wood's final days and the grief she felt for that. Vampira was also popular among punk bands. There were some songs written about her, and she hung out with punk rockers. She felt more comfortable. She was a very eccentric person. Buddy Barnett knew her. We interviewed him recently for Plan9Crunch. He talked about how much he enjoyed her and how she was a bit eccentric and lived her own life. Vampira died at the age of, I believe it was 85 in 2008. And if you read the book Glamour Ghoul, she may have died quite alone. And then when they found her, the pets had nibbled at her a little bit. So it's kind of sad, but she lived life on her own terms. And she has this beautiful grave here at Hollywood Forever Cemetary. And we honor her. We urge you to watch some of her films besides even Plan 9, maybe Magic Sword and The Beat Generation, but of course always watching Plan 9. And we thank you very much for this short little presentation we gave at the gravesite of Maila Nurmi, Vampira. And that's a wrap.